Hello and welcome back to our children's virtual program, Book Tasting. Our new book for this week is Bravelands, the Venom Spreads. Friends and family are split as longtime allies turn on each other and born foes form unlikely bonds. The very threat that led Bramble to leave the place that he called home ensnared the creatures who live on the mountain. As the mysterious poisons begin to affect more and more animals, Chase struggles to determine where her loyalties should lie. And down on the plains, Prance prays that the Great Spirit will send Thorn a solution to the shadowy menace, but even the Great Father may not be able to save them at this time. Alrighty, as always, I will be reading the first few pages. Moonflower, grab my hand! Bramble reached desperately through the rain for his sister as she slid down the stony slope toward him. Moonflower flailed for him, gripping his arm. He tried to catch and steady her, holding on to a tree branch with his other hand. But her momentum was too strong and they both went tumbling, rolling down the hill. Bramble held on tight to Moonflower and squeezed his eyes closed, letting out yelps of pain as rocks and roots jabbed into his back and shoulders. Finally, they slammed into something hard and came to a stop in an ungainly heap against the trunk of a tree. Moonflower managed to sit up, turning her face to the wet black sky, letting out a groan of frustration. "I hate this," she said. Bramble knew just how she felt. He peered around the tree trunk, but it was too dark to see their path down to the plains now. The mountain was almost behind them, the only home that they or their ancestors had ever known. But the descent was hard, and there was nothing but wide, empty terror waiting for them at the bottom. Since he was a tiny baby, he'd known the old mantra, "Blood pools on the plains." But there was nothing for them up in the mountain either. When Moonflower spoke again, it was in a small, almost hollow voice. "Do you think... I know you said you saw something. There's a chance she could still be alive?" What could he say? He was certain that her mother, Dayflower, was dead. He had seen the pain and terror in Dayflower's eyes as she'd been dragged back into the depths of the vents that ran beneath the mountain. He had seen the thing dragging her, scaly coils like a snake, but unimaginably huge. Still, what snake was strong enough to overpower a gorilla? "I'm sorry, but I know what I saw," he said gently. "We can't go back now." She opened her mouth to say more, then froze her breath. "Bramble," came a soft voice from the shadows. Bramble would know that voice from anywhere, and sure enough, a moment later he spotted the shadowy shape of Apple Goldback, knuckling down the slope toward them. "And Moonflower too, thank goodness," Apple said. "I thought you might have hurt yourselves running down here." Her voice was soothing, as calm and loving as it always had been. Bramble swallowed and turned to stand awkwardly, his heart torn between the urge to run toward her and the urge to flee. Apple had always been a source of safety for him, ever since she suckled him after her sister's death left him orphaned. Right now he was bruised and tired and frightened, and Apple was the gorilla who could always make him feel better. "Birdbark wants to apologize, Bramble," Apple said, emerging from the shadow of a tree, stepping closer to the two young gorillas. Bramble saw the beseeching look on her face and soft, reaching hand, and then he saw the snakebite on her wrist. It looked raw and wet, and not just from the rain that pattered down all around them. "There's been a misunderstanding," Apple said. "If you'll just come back with me, Birdbark will make it all right again, I promise." "Bramble," Moonflower said and grabbed his arm. "Don't listen to her." "You're the Brightback, Bramble," Apple said. "Birdback needs you to return to take your rightful place as his heir. The troop needs you." Alrighty, so I am ending it there. If you are interested in Bravelands, the Venom Spreads, it is available inside the children's collection. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next week for a new book.